An iconic American weapon, the AR-15 platform has been widely used by the American military since 1963. And in the Fallout universe, it would seem that some National Guard troops used it up until the Great War. 204 years later, and the new California Republic has adopted it as its standard issue rifle for the troopers. One thing before I start, a mod that I have retextures a service rifle to have a polymer stock, while in the base game it has a wood stock, so keep that in mind if you see any discrepancies. Doing a damage of 18 with a rate of fire of 4.2, a spread of 0.55, a magazine capacity of 20, a durability of 1,995 rounds before breaking, a weight of 8.5 pounds, and a value of 540 caps at full condition. The service rifle can be modified with upgraded springs, bringing the rate of fire up to 5.46, and a forged receiver, bringing the durability up to 2,995 rounds before breaking. There was 2 mods that were cut, and they were the reflex sight and the bayonet. The bayonet I can understand, as there's no BAF system in Fallout New Vegas. Now, there was no unique version of the service rifle until the Honest Hearts DLC came out, where you can obtain the Survivalist rifle. A rifle that has definitely seen many years of use. Some of the distinctive features of this weapon are the fact that it looks a lot more makeshift, with the wood furniture mostly being jerry-rigged on with metal fittings, and the front iron sight being bent off to the side, as well as the word arrêt, hope I'm saying that right, which is the French word for halt, on one side of the gun, and stop on the other side of the gun. You can find this rifle from the previous owner on top of the Red Gate in Zion Valley. This weapon does a damage of 48 with a rate of fire of 3.9, a spread of 0.08, magazine capacity of 10, a durability of 2,495 rounds, a weight of 8.5, and a value of 5,400 caps. What gives this weapon its punch is the fact that it fires a 12.7 round, as opposed to the 5.56 round that the standard service rifle fires. 12.7mm round is fairly uncommon, mostly only being found on Legion hunting parties and vendors, so it's not that practical of a weapon unless you have a high stash of 12.7mm. But that is what I have for this service rifle from Fallout New Vegas. If you guys like what you see, leave a like, leave a comment down below. If you want to see more, click that subscribe button to stay up to date with all things that I post. And I'll see you guys in the next video.
And so it was that the conflict between the New Canaanites and the Whitelegs was finally resolved. The courier's involvement had tipped the scale, shifting the fragile balance of power.
Demoralized by the Dead Horse and Sorrow's attack the courier and Joshua Graham led against them, the Whitelegs retreated to Great Salt Lake. Their days were numbered. Word soon reached the 80s tribe that the Whitelegs' spirit was broken, their war chief a dim shadow of his former self. By year's end, the 80s would overrun the Whitelegs' camps, scattering the tribe to the winds and claiming the Great Salt Lake for its own.
The Sorrows fought beside Joshua Graham and the Dead Horses, eradicating the threat the Whitelegs posed to Zion. Seeing the courier convince Joshua Graham to spare Salt upon wounds, the Sorrows learned that retribution could be tempered by mercy. Though he despaired at the Sorrows' loss of innocence, Daniel took some small consolation in the courier's lesson, and prayed it would take root.
Having helped eradicate the Whitelegs from Zion, the Dead Horses returned to Dead Horse Point in triumph. They remained neutral toward the Sorrows, but as years went on, there were periods of competitive friction, even violence between the tribes. The New Canaanites, Daniel especially, intervened regularly as mediators, but found it difficult to reconcile the tribe's conflicts.
The defeat of the Whitelegs in Zion marked a turning point in the fortunes of the Happy Trails Caravan Company. Every 2 months, the caravan met with the New Canaanites in Zion Valley to trade. Happy Trails soon returned to prosperity. The vigilance of the Sorrows and Dead Horses in defending southwestern Utah, initially startling to Happy Trails caravans, soon proved a blessing. The tribes united against the 80s, driving them back from Highway 50, and thus opening yet another trading route for Happy Trails caravans.
Follows Chalk took the courier's words to heart and decided that he would behold the sights and sounds of distant lands with his own eyes and ears. After returning to Dead Horse Point, he quarreled with his family and other tribe members about his ambitions. One morning, they awoke to discover that Follows Chalk had set off alone, westward, into the wilderness. He was never seen again.
Waking Cloud was distraught when she learned of her husband's death, but took comfort from her tribe and the compassion of the New Canaanites. She forgave Daniel for having concealed her husband's fate from her, and learned to accept his fate. When her grief faded, she took a husband from the Dead Horse tribe. At her bidding, he stayed close to home.
The threat of the Whitelegs ended. Joshua Graham helped the Sorrows and Dead Horses tend to their fallen comrades and secure Zion. The courier's words had stayed Joshua's wrath in his darkest hour, and in sparing salt upon wounds, he was changed. While he continued to advocate militant opposition to the enemies of New Canaan, he sometimes showed quarter to those who crossed his family. Eventually, this new spirit would diminish the myth of the burned man in distant lands. A small price for the peace it brought to Joshua Graham.
For years after the defeat of the Whitelegs, Daniel did his best to minister to the Sorrows' spiritual needs. Try as he might, he could not hold back the tribe's increasing militancy and reverence of Joshua Graham. Demoralized, he returned to his family in Dead Horse Point. His failures haunted him for the rest of his days.
And with that, the courier walked out of the history of the tribes of Zion and back to the gathering storm of the Mojave Wasteland.